In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a jazz guitar solos on rhythm changes, one of the most essential progressions in jazz. We'll go through 3 clear steps from simple pentatonics to modern bebop lines. Rhythm changes show up in tons of jazz tunes, so mastering this will boost your soloing across many songs. My name's Sandra Sherman, and I simplify jazz for you. Here's the rhythm changes progression in the key of B flat we'll be soloing over. The first 4 chords are a 1-6-2-5 turnaround. At higher tempi, these half-bar changes can be pretty challenging. So here's an easy way. Step number 1, use pentatonic scales. For the first bar, we're going to be using the B flat major pentatonic, which is also the same as the G minor pentatonic. We'll be using this first pattern here. And we start with a triad over the B flat chord. Going into C and D over the G7. For the second bar, C minor and F7, those are compatible. They look almost the same. C minor and F9. And that's why we're going to be using the C minor pentatonic. They fit all the chord tones. So we stay in the same area, but we now play the pattern number 5 of the C minor pentatonic scale. And we're going to be starting on the E flat, and then just go down. Okay? Then a little chromatic in there to get me to the next chord tone. I want to play chord tones. This is a chord tone of B flat major 7. And even though the sheet now says B flat 6-9, it's just, you can play either B flat major or B flat 6-9. Those are just 2 chords of the same chord group, okay? So I target that 3rd now, and I'm back in the B flat major pentatonic. Okay? And again, for the second one, we play the C minor pentatonic. And this is a little motif. So the motif is the rhythm plus the kind of sequence, da, ba, ba, from high to low in this case. All right, and that was already the first phrase. Let me play it at slow tempo. 2, 3, 4. Next, we need something to play over a 2-5-1 chord progression. 2 F minor, B flat, maybe altered in the solo because it resolves to E flat major and then going to A flat 7. All right, so now we have a different concept. The new concept is playing chord tones or arpeggios. Okay, the first thing is we're gonna be. This is our target note, the 3rd of F minor. That's where I want to go. And I enclose it from a scale tone above, chromatic below, which happens to be a scale tone also. And now I play an F minor 7 arpeggio, but I don't just go up. I play a pivot arpeggio, which means it's kind of like a inversion. I start with the lowest note, go to the highest note on the end, 1 and. This creates the typical bebop phrasing, da da da. And now descend the arpeggio. Okay, so. Then I go to a B flat 7 arpeggio, simple thing. And I resolve to the E flat major. That's chord tones of the E flat major, the 3rd and the root. Okay. And now, what to do over the A flat? That's one of the most asked questions. What to play over A flat? I could tell you the scale now. I won't. You know why? It's a half bar. And who plays a scale in a half bar? You can. I do sometimes, you know, but usually it's better, especially if you're still on a not super advanced level, to just play chord tones, because that way you make sure you hit the right notes. And the trick here is, don't think E flat major, A flat dominant. Think E flat major, E flat minor, because A flat dominant and E flat minor, that's a 2-5 again. And as you learned before with C minor and F, 2 and 5 are compatible, right? So you can play the same thing. Now it's easy, because now, coming from the E flat major, I just play that minor third, and that's the 7th of the A flat 7. Easy peasy, right? Okay, now I continue this kind of motif thing and go down to D minor, because suddenly I have E flat going to D minor. Well, that's just a half step, so let's just... And now G altered, the 6th chord, I play a G7 sharp 5 arpeggio. Backwards. That's kind of, Chopin did that a lot with the augmented chords. And the 7th to take me to the 3rd of C minor. I play a E flat major arpeggio now. That fits over C minor. If you analyze these chord tones, and analyze as much as you can, this really gets you forward. This is the 3rd of the C minor, the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th. You lose the root, but you get the 9th on top. So playing different chords or arpeggios than the root chord, the C minor, sorry, gives you more tensions, more color. And we do the same thing with the F7. I play an A half diminished arpeggio, starting from the C. C, E flat, G, and A. A half diminished is F9. Again, we'll lose the F below, and we get the 9th, the G on top. Here's your G. And that's it, actually, for phrase number 2. So here we go. Number 2 at slow tempo for you. 1, 2, 3. Check out my solo lessons bundle, where you learn to improvise over jazz standards and play a complete solo over each song. The link is in the description box. So for the A2 section, we still use arpeggios, pentatonic scales, but we'll level up our game a bit with chromatics. So we start with the B flat, we slide into the B flat and the D. So that's just chord tones of B flat. Then for the G7 altered, I just let it breathe a bit. Just imagine you're a brass instrument. We need to breathe once in a while and not cramp our bars full of notes. So then for the C minor, I play an arpeggio, but before that, I play an enclosure in that G7 bar, because we still have time there. Scale tone above, chromatic below, target tone C on beat 1. We have the C minor, play the C. Arpeggio, C minor 7 arpeggio, that is. Now for the F7, I play an altered chord because it resolves back to its 1, so I can alter it. We can create tension when the chord is resolved. And what I'm going to do is I play an F7 flat 9 arpeggio. 3rd of F, flat 9, root, 7th. Memorize this. That's the easiest thing to play over an altered chord. The 3rd, flat 9, root, 7th. And you have everything you need for a 7 flat 9 chord. Okay? And then I resolve it to a B flat major pentatonic. You could also see it as a B flat 6 pivot arpeggio. So here's my chord. Start on the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and root. All right, the G7 again, I'll let it breathe a bit, and then I play a C minor, and this is what it will be like. that looks more complicated than it is. It is really just, first of all, a chromatic approach to the C. This is on 4 and of the previous bar, and 1. I'm on a chord tone here on beat 1, C minor, play the G, which is the 5th. And now what I have in mind is I just see that C minor pentatonic here. And I add chromaticism on the offbeats. That's all there is to it, and that's how it works. 1 and is a chromatic, 2 is a scale tone or a chord tone, in this case a scale tone, and is a chromatic, as it should be. On 3 we have a chord tone, the 3rd, the most important one, and then I stop it with chromatics, because at the end I want to make it more clear that we're on C minor, and I just play the arpeggio. Root, 7th, 5th. Okay, this is the line. Memorize this to go over C minor. Okay, now for the F minor, I have my signature chord. That's an F minor at 9 or A flat 6. F minor at 9 arpeggio. And now for the B flat. Again, we can alter this because it resolves to the 1 chord, to E flat. I play a B flat 7 flat 9, which is a B diminished. From B flat, move 1 up and play a diminished chord. That's the rule. If you want to play an altered sound, well, not really altered, but 7 flat 9, just move up a semitone and play a diminished chord, or arpeggio in this case. Where were we? And I have the A flat here. I played backwards. That's a B diminished, but backwards. And in triplets. And triplet. And I'll resolve it to E flat. That's the 5th. I see the chord here. I see chords everywhere. Here's my 5th, and here's the 3rd. And now I start a motif. Again, because that A flat is a little tricky to play, I view it as an E flat minor instead of the A flat. Then going down to D minor. These are just chord tones. There's a 5th and a 3rd. Yeah. Then going to G7, I can do the same thing here. Because again, I see my chord. I see this is the root. And this is actually altered because it resolves to minor. So we can have a sharp 5 in there. So I have the root and the sharp 5. And voila, we have the same thing here that we had. G7 sharp 5, and the same for F7 sharp 5. Going to B flat. I play both simultaneously now. Here's my B flat. And here is the entire A2 section for you at slow tempo. 2, 3, 4. You can help to keep the free videos of this channel running by donating via the thanks button below the video, or become a paying member and enjoy perks. For the B section, we'll be using bebop lines and blues licks. The entire bebop section is a cycle of 2 5s. Some people prefer the vintage bridge that uses the 5 chords only for 2 bars each. It doesn't really matter since the 2 chord is totally compatible with the 5 chord, as you already learned. Let's look at the first 2 bars to show you what I mean. The correct scale for the A minor 7 is A Dorian. Over the D7, we play D Mixolydian, which is the same thing. Both are modes of the G major scale. And since they both share almost the same chord tones, they're totally exchangeable. I'm a Dorian thinker, so I play my A Dorian bebop lines, no matter if it's over an A minor 7 chord or a D7 chord. And here comes the cool part. Whenever we can play Dorian, we can also play the hipper sounding melodic minor scale, which we'll use here. We start with that 6th, sliding into A minor 7 chord tones. And now I play the A melodic minor scale. In triplets. 1 and triplet, triplet, 4, and the last two are not a triplet. And now I go for the D7, I go into a blues lick. Well, kind of a blues lick. It's really just the D mixo scale or A Dorian. Focusing on the third of the chord, passing note to the 7th. See, I see my chords everywhere. And landing on the 5th. Here it is, a slow tempo. 3, 4. So the next two chords, D minor and G7, or just G7 if you want so, I play one of my D Dorian bebop lines. I start on 1 and 1. This is an enclosure to that F, the third of D minor or the 7th of G7. Then I go down to the 5th, and now I start the D melodic minor scale from the 6th, major 7, that's what the melodic minor scale is about, in triplets. Going to the C, that's not the melodic minor scale anymore because that would have a C sharp in there, but that's okay. I slide into the D and I let it ring, and now play a blues lick in the D pentatonic scale or blues scale. And what I do is I add my index here and hammer on the blues, on the blue note. Okay, that's a typical blues lick. Okay. Now directly going, without a break or anything, without a rest, going into G minor and C, or just C, okay? So what I do is I play the same lick we had before. That was a B flat 6 inversion, but it's also G minor 7. Same tones. B flat 6 equals G minor 7. And then for the C9, again I play a blues lick. You know that, don't you? That's just a regular blues. Here is your C chord. I play the pentatonic. These two guys here on the B and G string. And then these, and that's the minor third going on to the major third. Such a typical blues thing. Back to this, and now end on the C. Then a little rest. And then the last pair for the C minor to F. First of all, I'm gonna play the F altered because it resolves back to B flat. So I cannot play the same thing here over both. I could, but I wanna alter the F. I start with a C minor 7, so that's a C melodic minor scale here. And that's a little tricky because it's really fast, I know that. So start slow. And this is the major 7 from the C melodic minor scale. That's 16 notes on the one end. So 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and then on 3 we play a triplet. On beat 4 I'm back to the C minor scale, C Dorian scale, sorry. So this is the fast line. Again. And now to the F altered lick. That's, here I see my F here. The third, the root, that's a bebop thing. Going down chromatically to the 7th of the chord. And then I resolve it in the next phrase to the B flat. Actually the C, but a B flat phrase, I mean. So here's entire phrase number 5 for you at slow tempo. 3, 4, 1. So for the last A section, we resolved this to the 9th of the B flat chord. Here's a B flat major chord for you. And I resolved to the 9th. And I just noodle around in the B flat major pentatonic, G minor pentatonic. Okay? And then I slide into the 3rd and the root of G7, where I see my chord here. Then there's a long rest, over a bar rest. At the end of the F7, I start picking up my B flat chord. That's a typical phrase you'll hear from me a lot. Starting a B flat major arpeggio on the 7th, into the arpeggio and in triplets. Triplet. And then the 9th on top. That's so Charlie Parker. I'm heavily influenced by Charlie Parker, and that's one of his stuff, you know. And then I go into a G altered line, bebop line. Remember this snippet. Remember little snippets for hard scales like altered stuff. Here's a G7 sharp 9, flat 9, root 7th. That's all you need again. This time having a sharp 9 too. That's cool. Going into C minor pentatonic with a chromatic note that leads me directly into the 3rd of the F7 now. Here's the 3rd of the F7, and I play an F9 arpeggio because this is not resolved. After the F7 we have an F minor 9 or whatever, 7. So that does not resolve. So we cannot alter it. So we play an F9 arpeggio, which is an A half diminished arpeggio. So that's an F9 without the root. Just memorize this as a 2-5. Easy peasy. Now we go into the F, B flat, E flat, the last 2-5-1 thing. We were here. I glide into F minor. It's the minor 3rd here. Make a little motif. B flat 7. I played a B alt, B diminished. We had that already. I played up here now. Okay. Glide into the E flat of E flat major, the 7th of E flat major, chromatic passing note into that C, which is the 3rd of the A flat 7. So I basically play, if you would play that chord melody. And now for the last 2-5, D minor, a little pickup note. And the next thing is a bebop line. This is a little hard to explain, but this is something you hear a lot from Pat Martino and you know, all the bebop guys. Okay, here we start on the 3rd of G7 or the 6th on D minor, however you want to see this. Bebop, bebop. That bebop thing is going over 2 strings, always in thirds usually, or in seconds. Usually you have an inner thing and an outer thing if you're a visual player. Chromatically down, then passing note, going to C minor, that's the 3rd of C minor, chromatic, F7, bebop line, and the final resolution, these 2 guys from the B flat major chord, okay? Here's the entire A3 section for you at slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check out my soloing playlist up here on my YouTube channel for many more solo tutorials like this one. Please give this video a fat thumbs up, leave a comment, and I probably reply to it because I read through most of them. Please go to my lesson shop, shop.guitarversum.com, for the tabs for this and all the lesson material and mini courses and all the good stuff. And I hope to see you next week. See you. Bye-bye.